Here you go.
We
Randy.
got them Giants fans last week. Nah, it's a pleasure to be here today. I understand we have some Cowboy fans here. I met some Steeler fans and some Bengal fans, so, if you like somebody else, it's okay. I'm retired a long time. It doesn't bother me if somebody tells me they're a Redskin fan or an Eagle fan. Well, Eagle, yeah, it still bothers me. Yeah. Well, I guess I'd tell you all a few stories from when I played football. Y'all remember Ed Too Tall Jones? Well, Ed, I didn't know Ed. Ed likes to go hunting. Well, I was always hunting or fishing on my days off when I played with the Cowboys. That's what I enjoyed doing. Well, Ed comes up to me and he says, Randy, he says, next time you go hunting, you think I could come along with you? I said, sure, Ed. I said, I didn't know you were, I said, I didn't know you liked to hunt. I said, I'll set us up a hunt for next Tuesday. That's our day off. So I called a friend of mine down in South Texas, had one of them game ranches where, you go, you're going to shoot something, you're going to get something, right? And we get down there and I go up to the house, Ed's in the truck, getting stuff organized. And my friend, I went up there and he said, Randy, he says, I'm a big fan of Ed's. He says, at lunchtime, will you guys come in and eat lunch with me? I'd like to sit down and visit with him. And I said, sure, we'll do that. And I got ready to go back to the truck and he says, can you do me one more favor before you go hunting this morning? I said, what's that? He said, did you see that old mule out there in the pasture when you pulled in the ranch? I said, yeah, I saw him out there. He said, well, he's old and he's suffering. He said, and I can't bring myself to put him down. Can you put him down? I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I'm walking back to the truck and I said, well, I'll play a joke on Ed. So I get this mad look on my face and I kind of stomp back there and I look at Ed and say, Ed, we can't hunt. I said, this guy said he didn't like you playing for the Cowboys. He didn't like you at Tennessee State, and we cannot hunt on his property. I got in the truck and I'm zooming down that road and I see that mule out of the corner of my eye, right? I slam the brakes on, boom, get the rifle, bam, I shoot that mule right between the eyes. And I hear this bam, 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 and Ed comes around the other side of the truck and says, hurry up and get out of here, Randy, I got 3 of his cows. That's not a true story. I tell this joke a lot of times, most of the time when I go somewhere that I haven't been before. And somehow it got back to Ed, and Ed actually called me and he said, Randy, he said, what is this about shooting them cows and a mule? So I said, hey, it was just a joke, but I use him every time. So anyway, true story. I'll tell you a true story about my days playing with the Cowboys. When I was a rookie, people say, well, what is your most memorable, winning the Super Bowl 12, that had to have been the highlight of my career. We won Super Bowl 12. But my most memorable moment was in Super Bowl 10. We played the Pittsburgh Steelers down in Miami, and we lost. So after the game, we were mad, and I come out, and our PR guy told Bert Lawless, who was a roommate of mine, and we went to he said, you guys, the buses are full, you need a ride with the police escort. So, I go and I get ready to get in the police escort car, and there's a guy sitting in the back seat with long hair and a beard, looks like a biker or a hippie or something, right? And I told Burton, I said, Burton, you sit back there with that guy. I sat in the front seat. We're riding down the road. This guy taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "Hey, Randy," he says, "I'm Willie Nelson. I'm a big fan of yours." True story. You talk about, I feel like an idiot. But then that night, we lost the game, so we went to that after party, and this humdrum band is playing all these songs, and so Willie and Waylon, Jerry Jeff Walker, and Jimmy Buffett were there. And Jimmy Buffett gets up on the stage and starts singing, "Barmaid, bring a pitcher," So right away he swings the whole crowd. And my most memorable moment is I got to get up on stage with Willie Nelson and Waylon and Jerry Jeff and Jimmy Buffett and sing "Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother." So that was my most memorable Super Bowl thing. Winning the Super Bowl was the best in Super Bowl 12, but getting to meet Willie and we partied with him all night, flew home the next day, and Willie had a place on Greenville Avenue called Willie Nelson's Whiskey River, and we spent another night with Willie and his crew. But we lost that Super Bowl. That was a bad one, Super Bowl 10. I don't know if I can tell this story or not, but I'm going to tell it. I got a friend of mine, right? He retired after all these years, and he wanted to find a hobby, right? He wanted to find a hobby, so he said, "I want to go duck hunting." So he's asking a friend of mine. He says, "Well, if you want to go duck hunting, you got to get a good duck dog." He said, "Well, how do you know a good duck dog?" He says, "Well, you got to check them." He said, "You got to put your finger in the bunker dunker there and check it, because if it's too loose, he's going to get out there in the water and he's going to fill up with water and he's going to drown." So he goes to the place where they sell the dogs. I get more laughs from ladies on this than I do anything. Anyway, so he says, the guy says, "The dogs are over there." He says, "Go pick one out you like." Well, he's checking them, right? He's checking the dogs. The guy walks back over there and he says, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm checking them." He says, "Because if it's not right, they're going to drown when they go out there swimming against the ducks, swimming to get the ducks." He says, "Let me see." And he grabs him and he twists. He says, "Sorry, I had him adjusted for quail." I asked a buddy of mine, should I tell that? So I don't know. Anyway, the toughest guy I ever played against. People want to know, who's the toughest guy you ever played against? They were all tough, and I was always outweighed by about 20 pounds. Coach Landry moved me from middle linebacker to defensive tackle. And so I'm always playing against these guys that weigh 300 or 310 pounds, 320 at the end. And I weighed about 260, 265. Well, this one guy from the St. Louis Cardinals, a guy named Bob Young. Now, Bob Young, he and his brother Doug held a two-man world deadlift record. He used to do that strongman competitions on television, pulling the trains. Well, I got to play against him, right? So I get down in my stance, and he got the head the size of a pumpkin. I mean, he got a huge head. And he gets down his stance, and the fat from his cheeks is sticking out of the helmet, right? And I'm down here in my stance, and his face is turning red. And the only thing I can think of is, you know what? I'm quicker than him. And I hit him as hard as I could. I used to hit him, now these guys just push each other around. We used to whack each other, right? We would hit each other. And I'd hit him as hard as I could, right under his little chin, and his old head would go, eh. And then he'd go forward and go, and I go, eh. Well, we getting them films, right? And I make the tackle for probably a 5 or 10 yard gain down there. Well, you know that's not any good on first down. So we getting them films. If Coach Landry called me White, I knew it was going to be a good day. If he called me Randy, it would be a good day. If he called me White, it was going to be a bad day. So in front of the whole team, he would show that guy hitting me, knocking me back, showing White, you got to stop him on the line of scrimmage. White, you got to stop him on the line of scrimmage. I used to want to say, Coach, you stop him on the line of scrimmage. I can't. But I used to beat him on every pass play. I'd give him a few of those little shakes, and he'd trip over himself trying to catch me. But he was tough on the running game. Oh. Well, the teams I played on, I know they have some questions for me. The teams I played on with the Cowboys, you know, we played in 3 Super Bowls, played in 6 NFC championship games, played with some great players, Roger Staubach, Leroy Jordan, Jethro Pugh, Rayfield Wright, name them. We had some great teams. And people like they ask you, what made those teams consistently good over, you know, we had 25 years, and I was fortunate to be with them for 14. And, you know, when I look back at those teams, what made those teams successful? And, you know, there's a lot of qualities that you have to have if you're going to be successful. But, you know, the ones that always stuck out with me when I played with the Cowboys, first one would be, you know, we cared about each other, you know, as teammates. I remember Roger Staubach. You know, here I am, a rookie, and I find myself in a locker room with Roger Staubach. You know, I'm kind of in awe. And, you know, but Raj would come around. We had 12 rookies make the football team my rookie year. And Roger Staubach would walk around, and he would tell each and every one of us, have a good game. We need you. You know what that meant for me, to Roger Staubach, to come and tell me, hey, I was important. I meant something to this team. I mean, I would have run through a brick wall. He didn't have to do that. But, you know, that was the kind of guys we had on a team. And then when you go into real life, you know, I was always a macho guy, a tough guy, all this stuff, you know, and in my family, you know, my dad died, and I never one time told him I loved him. You know, so anytime I step in front of a group, especially if there's kids or older people, hey, you know, tell your parents you love them. Tell your kids you love them. That's important. You don't know how important that is. I wish I'd have done it, but I'll never get that back. But I tell my grandkids and my daughter, I tell them I love them all the time. I mean, it just comes out. I don't hold that back. Yeah, so I think that's very, very important. And any time you're on any kind of a team, you know, you have to support each other. You know, I don't care, on a football team, the guy that washed our clothes, the guy that cleaned our locker, everybody was important. You know, and sometimes we forget to let the guys that support us, you know, we forget to tell them, hey, what you do is important. This wheel doesn't roll if you don't do your part, and we appreciate you doing your part. So anyway, my point, caring about other people, you know, and don't be afraid to tell people you care about that you love them. You know, that's a strong word, and so that's something that's important to me. Next thing I think is you got to have the drive, right? You just don't become successful. It just doesn't happen. You pay a price. All you on this room know that. Nobody gave you anything. You had to go work for it. You know, you work hard. They give you an opportunity, but you have to go and take advantage of that opportunity. So, you know, and I always used to, you know, not so much, but, you know, in my arena, physically, I did everything I could I would lift weights, I'd run, better shape than everybody. That was my goal. So when the fourth quarter rolled around, I would beat them because they were tired. And I don't care how much faster, bigger, stronger they were than me. Once I got them tired, I'm going to beat them. But that was my world. That was that world that I was living in. So, but where you really get your edge, because you may run up against somebody else that does all those things and works that hard. So how do you beat him? You beat him with your mind. I used to beat him with my mind every day of the week. I would visually see myself beating them. Psycho-Cybernetics is a book my college coach gave me, and I would see myself winning over and over and over again. And I never wanted anybody to be more physically prepared than I was or mentally prepared than I was. And if you do those things, you're going to have that word drive. I don't know how you define it a million different ways, but you do the things the other guy won't. When the other guy's going home to take a break, you're still there. Other guy's going out to have a party with their friends, you're still working. That's how you win. I mean, that's how I think you win. So caring about other people, drive. And what's the last thing and the most important thing? Like I said, there's 9 million different qualities you have to be successful. But the third one to me is so important because on a football team, when everything's going good, everybody tells you how good you do. Like the Dallas Cowboys. They won Sunday. Now, you think they're going to the Super Bowl this year if you listen to everybody talk to them. Now, if they listen to that, they're going to be in trouble because you got to go back and you got to do it next week too, and the next week and the next week. And then when it's all over with, you pop your head up and see where you are. But they're going to run into some adversity. We all do in our personal life, in our business life. There's no way of getting around it. So what do you do when things don't go right? When things don't go your way? I think that's the true test because it's easy when things are going good. Well, I know on a football team, the worst thing can happen is you start pointing the finger at somebody else. It's not the defense's fault, it's the offense's fault. It wasn't my fault, it was Harvey Martin's fault. It was Ed Too-Tall Jones's fault. It was John Dutton's fault. Nah, you can't do that. You start doing that, your team falls apart. When things get tough, you look at yourself and you say, am I doing everything I can possibly do to make my team or my organization successful? And if you do that, you'll find there's something else you can do. And if you believe in your leadership and everybody thinks that way, you care about each other, you got to drive, now you got a chance to win. But if you don't have those qualities, I think you're in trouble. Y'all understand that because you're all successful, you all have them, but that's a message I like to share with everybody. I don't know, I think they have some questions for me that I may get a little more interesting. I'm ready. I got finished the hard part right there.
Oh, and so have a seat, and I'm going to bring some athletes from the high school up here, and they got some questions for you. And I'll bring you up for 1 second, but I got a message from the governor. She wants to say something. Oh, okay. She's going to come on up here.
I want a T-shirt that says "Too Tall, Lujan Grisham."
Do what?
I want a T-shirt that says "Too Tall, Lujan Grisham."
Okay.
Oh, this is not part of the scripted program, but during my remarks, I saw Governor Martinez, and I want you to give her a round of applause. We increased graduation rates. She did leadership there. You're welcome. And I should have done it during my speech. I saw you and it just went away. But that's what winning together looks like. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
All right, come on up, kids. We got a bunch of athletes here, not a bunch, we got a few athletes from the high school going to have the opportunity to ask Randy White some questions. And man, what an opportunity. Y'all see if you can fit everywhere there. I'm going to hand you this mic, and you're going to have to pass it around. And I think you're first. Okay, here we go. Make sure you tell everybody who you are, okay?
I'm Patty. I'm a goalie on the high school varsity soccer team. And okay, what advice would you give an athlete in high school who is interested in playing a sport in college?
What advice would I give them for what?
What advice would you give an athlete in high school who is interested in playing a sport in college?
What advice would I give an athlete that is interested in going to college and playing sports in college?
Yes.
The thing I always share with kids is, you know what? Get an education. The sports thing is fun. It's great. You can do it some of us do it for a longer time than other ones. But if you have an opportunity to get an education, get that education, because you can fall back on that. You can fall back on that education for the rest of your life. And I think that's important. You know, some of us are fortunate. You know, I played for 14 years in the NFL. I lack 3 hours of getting a degree, a college degree, which I'm not proud of, trust me, but I'm honest about who I am and what I am. And that's something I wish I would have done, and till it's all over with, I may go back and do that. But get your degree.
Okay.
I'm Bailey Molina, and I play point guard for the basketball team. Do you keep in touch with any other former players?
Do I keep in touch with any of the former players? Yes, I do. I have one friend I played football with. We go out every Wednesday night to eat. Don Smerick played defensive tackle. He lives out where I live, up there north of Frisco in Prosper. So we go out and eat every Wednesday night that I'm in town. I missed last night because I had to drive down here. I saw Ed Jones last Sunday at a tailgate party, and Eugene Lockhart, who played middle linebacker. So I see Drew Pearson pretty regularly at different functions. I enjoy getting together with the guys I played with. You know, a guy I had any of you real true Cowboy fans know about my incidents with Thomas Henderson, right? Thomas and I got into an altercation, and I stuffed him in a locker, and you know, it was. But I always liked Thomas, and I still do, and he and I are friends. And you bring that up, Thomas and I have been going back and forth here the last 2 weeks. He's gone through the concussion protocol for the NFL concussion lawsuit right now, and he's been coaching me, if you can believe that. Thomas has been coaching me on how to handle myself when I go into the meeting. So, yeah, I do get to see my other teammates, and I enjoy it very much, yes.
My name's Shamar Smith, and I play receiver and outside linebacker. And the question is, what is your favorite memory of being a Dallas Cowboy?
My favorite. You know what? This guy would have been a defensive tackle when I was going to high school. Now he's a wide receiver and outside linebacker. Unbelievable. What was your question? I told you I'm going through my concussion thing.
What is your favorite memory of being a Dallas Cowboy?
Oh, my favorite memory of being a Dallas Cowboy. You know, I have so many great memories of being a Dallas Cowboy as far as accomplishing, you know, playing in Super Bowl 10, I kind of talked a little bit about, and being able to participate in the Super Bowl my rookie year, and really not understanding what it meant to be able to play in a Super Bowl and lose that game and feel how bad you feel and get that close. having an opportunity to go back 2 years later and play the Denver Broncos and beat them 27-10 and win a world championship. And Harvey Martin and I were fortunate to be chosen co-MVPs in the game. So, that would probably, and it was my birthday. It was my birthday. It was January 15th when we beat the Denver Broncos. And so that would probably be my favorite, most memorable day as a Dallas Cowboy. But, have an opportunity to be around someone like Coach Landry, Tom Landry. He said he didn't just teach you about football, he taught you about life. I still fall back on a lot of the things that he taught us when I first got there. Every day, Coach Landry would talk about something out of the Bible. Every day. Now, this was every day. He'd mention it somehow, one way or another. And, I'm, 22-year-old kid, and I'm going, what's he talking about, man? I want to play football, But, as I got older and started paying attention, and I'm not going to start preaching here. I don't want to do that. But I think for me, personally, it's important to have God in my life. And the more I got that, the more I got that, the better my life became. And so take that for whatever it's worth. But it's pretty good advice from one of the finest people, Coach Landry, that I have ever in my life had the opportunity to be around. Now, I was scared to death of him. I was scared to death of Tom Landry. I tell you what, he would talk to me. He'd try to make me a middle linebacker. I studied the middle. I knew every answer to every question he could possibly ask me. And he'd get in a meeting and ask me a question. I grabbed the side of my desk, and all I could do was, ugh. And he'd go, anybody else know the answer? Oh, but I don't want to get me off talking about Coach Landry. I got scared. We used to get on the bus, right? Get on that first bus. And Mrs. Landry, Coach Landry always sit around like this. Well, Mrs. Landry, I was married at the time, had a daughter, and Mrs. Landry, I'd get on that bus. She'd go, Randy, how's Vicky and Jordan? Tommy said you had a good week of practice. I'm going, no. And Landry would sit there, Coach Landry would sit there like this. And he couldn't help it. He had a smile. He'd go, but I've got memories like that. I could go on here for the rest of the day. It was a dream come true for me to have an opportunity to play pro football. That's what I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. I used to look at the football cards to see if I was getting big enough to be able to go out there and play. That's true. It's true. I always wanted to be a football player. So, anyway, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right.
Hello, my name is Justin. There are a lot of talented players in high school and college, but only a few really stand out and become professionals. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to make yourself stand out both on and off the field?
Pretty much when I was talking up there, I had that goal in my head, and I did the things that I felt like I had to do to accomplish that goal. But like I said earlier, it's tough. Not many people get to that level or are able to play at a professional level. So if you have the opportunity to get that education. Try to be the All-American, All-Pro at getting an education. Try to be that. That's what I would encourage you to do right there. Be All-Pro at getting the education. And with football, you just got to work hard. You got to do the things the other guy won't do. That's what I always say. People say, well, I'd like to think I interjected martial arts into my game of football. Nobody else ever heard of that. But these guys got bigger, and I couldn't just grab them and throw them, so I had to find out another way to manipulate them. So I got with our strength coach, and we got with some of the Danny Anasano with the Filipino martial arts, who was Bruce Lee's training partner with the JKD, and it was all about trapping hands, and it just fell right into place with everything I did with football. But, you know, you always got to try to stay one step ahead. You always got to be looking one step ahead. Don't sit there and pat yourself on the back, because what you did yesterday is gone. You got to worry about, hey, I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm going to do it better. So hopefully that answered your question. Good question, big guy.
My name's Caden Smith, quarterback of the Carlsbad Cavemen. And so tell us a little bit about your time studying Thai boxing.
Oh, you got a question about my martial arts stuff. You know, I just felt like the martial arts was something I never was involved with it ever. Not in high school, not growing up, not in college, but our strength coach introduced us to it, and then I got to, you know, you want to get in shape and kind of teach your body how to get hit without beating it up is, you know, you kick 15 3-minute rounds with the guy that I trained, Ajahn Chai, who taught me Thai boxing. If you can do that, when you get on a football field, you play a play and you're ready to go in about 2 seconds. You take a deep breath and you've recovered your wind and you're ready to go. So, you know, that was just another way I felt like I was doing something the other guy didn't. And it did pay off for me because my conditioning level was, you know, better at the end of my career than it was at the beginning of my career. So, you know, the martial arts, I still do it today. I was training, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I had to drive down here. I hadn't trained in about a week. And I trained the Filipino martial arts now with the sticks and the stick and the knife and the double knife. And, you know, we go at each other and you don't beat each other up, but the physical moving around, you know, at 67, it kind of, you know, but you can't quit, right? You know, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going until I can't go anymore. So that's just my attitude. That's the way I live my life, and that's the way I'm going to do it. Y'all have more questions?
Yes, sir. How are the Dallas Cowboys going to do this year?
How is it what?
How are the Dallas Cowboys going to do this year?
How are the Dallas Cowboys going to do this year? I tell you what, honestly, I think if they can stay healthy, if that offensive line can continue to play at the level that it did Sunday and 2 years ago when they were all healthy, I think they've got a chance. Their defense has improved, even though Saquon Barkley he's the Walter Payton of today. You know, when I played Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton, Eric Dickerson, well, that's Saquon Barkley, to me, is the top running back in the league. So I don't think that's a true monitor to judge their defense by, that they gave up 150 yards. I mean, this guy power cleans 400 pounds. When I was at my strongest, I power cleaned 425. This guy weighs what? 195 pounds, and he is a beast. Is that what you asked me about Saquon Barkley? You want me? How good I thought he was? No. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Okay.
Come on, kiddo.
Tell us what playing for Tom Landry was like.
Do I?
Tell us what playing for Tom Landry was like.
Playing for Tom Landry was an experience I wish everyone could have, is to be around him. Maybe not so much as a football coach, but be around him. I'll tell you one story that will tell you exactly, because Coach Landry used to tell, he said, God, family, football, whatever else, but God, family. And, you know, my dad died the night before we played the Denver Broncos, the year after we beat them in the Super Bowl. And we're playing up in Denver. And I didn't tell anybody, except my middle linebacker, Bob Brunick. Well, he must have told Coach Landry, because when we got introduced, Coach Landry shook my hand. And I got tears in my eyes. And he had tears in his eyes. And, you know, that was a moment I spent with him that defined to me what he was. God, family, whatever else. Still chokes me up a little bit. But it's a, you know, that's the kind of, if you were around him, you would come around with that. You would have your own story like that if you were around him for any length of time. So, yeah, it was a life-changing experience to be around him.
Football is a rough sport. Have you seen improvements in training or technology that reduces injuries?
What, these sissies today? You know, number one, I'd be broke. I'd be broke because they'd find me every week because I used to aim for their heads. I did. I aimed for their head. I tried to hit them in the head. These guys today, they get up, wide receivers. I'm like, here I go, I'll get in trouble. This kid from Pittsburgh, then he went to Oakland, now he went to New England. Change the rules back. Let Cliff Harris and Jack Tatum and that crew, let them start knocking their brains out. And we'll see how I'm trying, but they're pushing me to the limit here. No, it's a different game, and then they're trying to take away injuries, which I'm all for that. Just don't take everything away from the game. People watch the game because you like to see collisions. You know, I mean, I do. Why do you watch NASCAR? You don't watch it to watch them go around in a circle. You want to see them wreck, right? I mean, you can't take that away. I don't know if you turned into that NFL Network, but I said that I did an interview this summer with Howie Long, Strahan, Jason Taylor, and Bruce Clark from New England. And I pretty much said that on a national televised interview that will be viewing this year. So you'll hear me say it on a national scale. Anyway.
So, how have you adjusted to life after being a professional player? How have you adjusted to life after being a professional player?
Good question. How do you adjust to life after being a professional player? You know, that's a tough transition to make. In a lot of reasons, financial reasons, emotional reasons. And unfortunately, a lot of guys don't prepare for life after football the way they should. You know, back when I played, we didn't make enough money to prepare for life after football. And the guys before us made less. These guys today, if they're smart, you know, they can set themselves up very well for the rest of their life if they structure it right. For me personally, I signed a contract in 1982 that paid me from age 40 to 60 X number of dollars. I bought an annuity because I was thinking ahead. And I tied an insurance policy to it that if I die, my family will be the beneficiaries of it. So, and I've been blessed. I've gotten involved. I've been a spokesperson for an herbal chew called Smoky Mountain Stuff. I've been working with them for 25 years. I work with a wind company, all oil people, but I work with a wind company. I don't know how that's I wasn't going to say that. But I know we always yield to the oil when it's the wind turbines. Anyway, no, that's something that But my biggest adjustment was not having a game on Sunday. That's what I missed. I missed that when you come out in a tunnel. I mean, you feel alive. The only thing that I've ever witnessed that gave me anything close to it was my daughter being born. You know, when I saw life come to life, man, I mean, you know, you all have seen it, it's an experience, right? Well, that's the way Sunday afternoons were for me. I mean, they were. I mean, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the violence. I enjoyed the hitting. I enjoyed the winning. I enjoyed it. You know, I mean, I loved it. And then all of a sudden one day, you know, I kind of think I understand what these post-traumatic stress some of these guys go through because I went through that. I did. I went through something similar to that. And, you know, I ended up, I started trying to bulldog, right? Yeah, I'm going to be a cowboy when I retire. Well, I did that for about 2 days. You know, when you start learning, you do it out of the chute, right? You're shooting, I'm ripping their heads off and throwing them down. Well, I got up. I didn't think I was going to be able to move, right? So I called Walt Garrison. I said, Walt, I want a team rope. He says, well, come on over. He said, I got a horse you can ride. And he said, I got cattle and I got the rope. I go over to Walt's house and I ride around on a horse and I swing the rope. And he goes, well, you can't ride a horse or swing a rope. He says, how you think you're going to rope? Go learn how to ride a horse. And my neighbor was a cutting horse guy, Punk Carter. And so I went over to Punk's and I did a crash course on horses. I cleaned them, I rode them, I fed them, I did everything. I ride about 8 or 9 of them cutting horses a day. I learned, I mean, the same principles that I put into football, I put into that, right? It gave me something to do, right? It gave me something to channel my energy, something, you know, I didn't get the violence fixed, but except when I got bucked off, which happened periodically. But I don't know, how did I get off on roping, team roping? But anyway, I end up team roping and got pretty good at it. I only cut my thumb off once. I got it sewed back on. So, you know, it was, but you got to find something to do. And you got to make a plan before it's over. Because if you don't, it's tough. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Randy White.
No, I'm telling you. Y'all don't have to stand up, man. Well, thank you. You're a great group. I'm glad I got to come visit you. Mayor, great governor. I never met so many mayors and governors in my whole life. So it's been a wonderful day. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. And good luck to each and every one of you. Thank you very much.